Welcome to ARIS Robotics Startup Fund's online talk show, where we dive into key topics that matter the most for early-stage robotic and deep tech startups. I am Troels Oliver Petersen, Business Development Manager here at ARIS Robotics Startup Funds. We are an incubator supporting early-stage startups within robotics, drones, and automation, helping founders build great technologies and grow their companies. In robotics and deep tech, we often talk a lot about products, IP, and technology readiness. But again and again, we see that technology alone is rarely the biggest challenge. Very often, the real deciding factor is the founding team. Who is sitting around the table from day one? Is there a right balance between technical excellence and commercial drive? And is there a capable CTO with a clear plan and our roles, responsibilities, and decision making power aligned early on? Today's episode is all about building the right founder team and why getting it right is important. But we will also talk about how you can fix gaps later, why it's difficult, but how it can be done. This talk show is live, so feel free to use the Q&A chat throughout the session, and we will pick up those questions in the end. We are joined today by two great guests who will bring both a founder and an investor perspective to the table. Ann-Mia Ambjerg, who's the co-founder and CEO of ARIS Robotics, will share hands-on experience from building a balanced founding team from the very beginning. And robotics investor Enrico Krog Iversen will give us an investor's perspective on what really matters when evaluating early-stage teams. So, what is a strong founding team and what does it actually look like in robotics? Why does team composition matter so much to investors? What should founders prioritize before it's too late? Let's get started. Ann-Mia, before we dive into team composition, let's talk a little bit about the basics.
Mhm.
Can you briefly introduce ARIS Robotics?
Yes, of course. Thank you for having me. Um, at ARIS Robotics, we are on a mission to create a world without waste. We use AI for waste sorting so that we can use simple cameras to recognize and categorize waste materials for automatic sorting. Some of our current customers are municipal recycling centers, where we help citizens sorting. Um, and we're also working up to larger recycling plants now.
Amazing. You you built a founder team consisting originally of two technical founders and a one commercial founder from day one. Can you take us back to the building of that team
Yes.
and how you did it and what your experiences were?
Um, we happened to meet by complete coincidence during our time at university, and I was actually living in Copenhagen at the time, taking my master's degree in international business. While they were working on their first prototypes under university, I was helping them a lot in my free time. I've always been interested in sustainable startups, and I was helping them with the business plan, and it became a thing where I was helping them so much eventually also with the InnoFounder application that when we actually got to the InnoFounder interview part, they said, "Why are you not part of it?" We didn't really have a good answer for it, and then I joined full time.
And how did you go about setting up those roles and were there open discussions or how did you do that?
It felt quite natural from the beginning because one of us were really good at the hardware, software, and then the commercial part. So it felt quite natural that these were our areas. Um, I think it's also not just about what we were good at, but also what we enjoyed doing, because I think that's important for long term growth and making sure that you're interested in your position. Um, and yeah, so we definitely had some discussions and also saying, what is your responsibility? What's my responsibility? Where can we also make decisions on our own? And that was very important to also be able to move fast without having to coordinate every small thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And how aware were you, or how much attention did you pay into kind of like topics or areas that maybe were not covered, or did you have discussions around that as well?
So competencies we were missing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, of course, we were all quite new. We had just come out of, like I said, we were doing our master's degree when we started. So certainly there were competencies missing, but that's also what I would argue is it's not just about the technical competencies or education. It's also about attitude and willingness to learn. I didn't have any sales experience, for example, to start with,
Hmm.
or pitching. These are all things that I just dived straight into and got on board. And the same thing for my co-founders. There was many skills or knowledge we didn't have, contract writing,
Yeah.
uh, graphic design, all these things that you kind of have to build along the way. So it's not just about what you start off with, but what you're willing to learn
Yeah.
throughout. Yeah.
Yeah. You were three people, which is it's a great start. But
Mhm.
of course, you can cover more competencies that way. But can you, looking back at it now, can you is there some reflections where you can maybe say that what were the unique advantages of being a fairly large founder team, bringing
Yeah.
multiple competencies?
Uh, Certainly, there was also um, a good division of labor, um, and kind of areas where we could work on and also make our own silos and take ownership of different parts of the company. Um, but it's also, I think, helped was a mix of personalities
Right.
in it that we all scored quite differently on different parts of the personality test, which we found out in the end actually made it that we both were able to balance and carry out tasks, to the end, but also starting new things. You need a good mixture of not just skills, but also personality types, I think, to make a successful founder team. Um, and I think that's what we did really well from the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And looking back, have you also had kind of like experiences like you must have had many kind of
Yeah.
like late hours and
Yeah.
tough decisions to make, and have you some experiences and learnings or where that played in?
Yeah. I think for us, it was important that we had all agreed on the fundamental goal of the company and this idea that we wanted to create impact. So we had the same North Star that was guiding all of our decisions. But then our different perspectives from our educational background, but also personality types, made that how we got there was
Hmm.
up for discussion and opened some really interesting debates that I think made our path a lot stronger because we had different viewpoints and how to achieve certain things. Um, and I also think that yeah, for me as a non-technical founder, I really trust my technical founders, and I think that's important because when I go out to sales meetings or presentations, even though I don't fully understand some of the technology sometimes or how to actually make it myself, I don't need to.
Hmm.
I do. I know that the results that they're coming with, and I can trust what they say, and then that way I can stand proud of what we've been able to develop. And the same way for them that they can focus on the product and the product development without having to uh, work on how to communicate it to the outside world. So that way, having these two sides of the coin really means um, that we can specialize and get really good at what we need to be good at, and not have to worry or micromanage every small part of the company at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's important even in such a small team
Yeah.
to have division of work is what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah. Um, can so you being a small team, obviously you grow, you get more experience, the technology develops, you get access to more funds as well. Um, Adding people to not to the founder team necessarily as like founders, but looking at deficiencies in or lacks in gaps in that team. How do you then plan for like the first hires? Is what do you
Yeah.
how do you do that?
Yeah, I've actually been asked about this a lot from other early founders, but
Yeah,
when do you know when's the right time to hire?
yeah.
Um,
And what kind of people?
yeah, and what
Yeah.
kind of people? Yeah, I think at least the way that we had done it was, I think it was important that we, as founders, understood every component of the company in ourselves, and that we had, at very minimum, we could run the company by ourselves. We knew the technology and we knew the business side of things. Um, and bec- and then after that, you can start hiring people that can do it better than you. But you need to understand what they're working with as well, and how do you push them, and when do you know that we're going in the right direction, and the actual limitations of the product, for example. Um, I think for us, it was when we got to a point where um, we were running out of time. We just didn't have enough hours in the day to
Mhm.
complete our work. And it starts becoming a bottleneck either on the sales side or on the technology side where we're not able to push as fast as we could have been because we don't have enough hours and we're working late nights. That's unfortunately because you don't even have time to hire at this point. But that is,
Mhm.
I think, a good time to hire. Uh, Also making sure of knowing your own competencies, like what is it that I'm good at and what is it I'm adding value in, and
Mhm.
what tasks are not adding value necessarily but have to get done.
Yeah.
Things like admin, outsourcing, uh, bookkeeping, for example. Um, so make sure, kind of identifying what is pushing the needle and what is it that you as a founder uniquely are able to do,
Yeah.
um, and for something that you are able to hire out, give it to someone else. I think things like customer dialogues is very important that the
Mhm.
founders maintain for a long time. Um, Investor dialogues as well can't really be
Yes.
outsourced.
No.
Um, the core in technical building, I think, is also important that the founders at least have an understanding of.
Mhm.
Uh, but the things that when you're just doing copy paste or left in Danish,
Mhm.
then you can hire
Yeah.
that in. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go back
Mhm.
before into the process of building the team.
Yeah.
So, do you have kind of like some advice? Let's say you're a very early stage founder. You have an idea,
Mhm.
but you don't have a full founder team yet.
Mhm.
So can you give some thoughts or maybe even some advice to how do you proceed from that point? Do you
Yeah.
build a company, then just get going as a single founder? Or how much emphasis? Because we're putting a lot of
Right.
emphasis here on teams.
Mhm.
What should you do?
Um, yeah, I think there's both something in how you compose a founder team and also if you want to do it or not.
Yeah,
I highly recommend
yeah,
having a team.
yeah.
Um, I mean, this is also the experience I have now, but I have so fully cherished my co-founders
Hmm.
in hard times and good times. Having someone who is in it with you.
Hmm.
Your family's not going to understand it. Your friends aren't going to understand it the same way. They're the only people that really understand what you're going through are the people who are in it through the ups and downs. And so I think that there's that in it. Also, making sure it's someone you can trust,
Hmm.
um, and someone who ideas you value and respect and can work with because you will be. It's not an easy road. Um, so make sure you're with someone where you're like, I can go into battle with this person and I
Hmm.
trust them.
Hmm.
I think that's an important part. I also think from early on it was, um, even though it was started by two of the co-founders from the beginning, they very early opened up and shared the whole company with the others, even though it was their idea. And I
Hmm.
think that made a big difference because then we all took ownership equally. Even though they had gotten this far, we knew that the road we were going down was going to continue for a long time.
Yeah,
And they could have held on to those shares, but it would have maybe been demotivating at some point. And I've
yeah,
seen some people maybe trying to keep a lot of ownership.
yeah.
I think it's more important that you find the right people that you want to share the journey with, and also the good and the bad from early on, because that's very valuable down the line.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So don't be too restrictive about giving co-ownership to co-founders.
yeah. And if you feel like you couldn't trust them with it, then that they're probably not the right people to continue with.
Yeah, yeah.
So finding the right person, and I don't think it is kind of like a marriage in a way. You need to find the right people that you can get along with on a personal level
Mhm.
and on a technical level,
Yeah,
um, because there will be long nights and there will be tough days.
yeah.
Do you trust this person to have your back?
Can you give? I know, of course, ideally you want the best technical persons available
Mhm.
or that are possible to get. But can you still, even though that is maybe not always possible, so
Mhm.
can you give kind of like a little bit of thoughts about should I wait to get a very, very technical skilled co-founder, or should I take one now that is very nice to work with? Or
Mhm.
is there some thoughts going into that would be nice to
Yeah, I think
think of?
it would be a balance of the two.
Yeah,
I think personally, I would prioritize first getting someone that you trust
yeah,
and can work well with
yeah,
on board first.
yeah.
And then if there are skills that you don't have. I know a lot of non-technical founders hire those skills in for app development or so on.
Yeah, yeah.
I think as long as you have a certain understanding of what needs to be made,
Mm-hmm.
so that you don't rely fully on a hire, in the beginning at least, not for the very foundational work, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, having first the team that, okay, these are the people you're going to battle with. And then if you don't have the technical skills or the very best yet, then hiring that in afterwards. But yeah, you want the people that you really trust closest to you first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so that makes it maybe a little bit of a difficult question. But do you have some input or ways of where what could people practically do to find co-founders?
I mean, I think we've been using as a lot of example of a good combination of a team, but we did meet by coincidence.
Yeah,
So um, you can't always meet your co-founders in a parking lot
no,
by accident, like we did.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, maybe some networking events, matchmaking events,
yeah,
asking around. I think I had also considered working in a startup before I
mm-hmm.
did. I was just maybe a bit too shy to get started on my own. So maybe
Yeah,
asking people who are in the community who are looking for something to do. I know a lot of people who have joined through founder programs, for example, who have met each other there.
yeah,
Yeah, so matchmaking, talking to people, networking, especially there's a really good community of in the startup
yeah,
world, and letting it be known, saying out loud, I need someone to work with me on this,
yeah,
then let the network do its magic.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And we will bridge, as you know, to some investor point of view after this. But can you also, from your point of view, tell us having a good team with multiple people there? What did that mean for your fundraising journey?
Very important for the fundraising journey. It was
Yeah,
probably one of the most cited things that we heard from our potential investors.
yeah,
All the ones we spoke to, it's the team we like. It's the team we want to invest in.
yeah,
And I do think it was the combination of the technical, but it was also how well we worked together. And I
hmm,
think that becomes very clear that, before you want to invest in someone, you're also looking for, can these people work together
hmm,
for the next 5, 10 years, 20 years? Um, and yeah, and then seeing the trust that we had in each other and that we will work our differences out and we communicate well and we're vulnerable with each other. I think those things are also important. So it is, of course, about the technical things, but I think it's also a lot about the way that you are a team together, and yeah, and a lot of skills can also be learned later on.
yeah,
Like I said, I didn't know how to do sales. I
yeah,
do it every day now.
yeah,
It's maybe about meeting the people that you can trust and have the openness and the stubbornness to learn what it takes to make it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so stubbornness in a good way is
Yeah.
something to look for when you are scouting for co-founders potentially.
Yeah, I think someone who says, "Okay, my skill set is just this, and I can do that very well."
Yeah,
That's also good to have a specialist in that.
yeah,
But as a co-founder, you are, especially in the beginning before you have hires, you are an octopus. You have to do a little bit of everything.
mm-hmm,
I have maybe 5 different jobs in a given day.
mm-hmm,
I personally enjoy it, but that's not for everyone.
yeah,
So it does take a certain type of person to fit well in that and enjoy it.
yeah,
It would be difficult with someone maybe who is not willing to learn those skills or try some different things.
mm-hmm,
Yeah,
yeah. But a high recommendation from your point of view into having teams in general.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I wouldn't want to do it without them.
No.
No.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming, and
Thank
we
you.
will meet you later.
Yes.
It's part of the Q&A.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, Enrico.
Hi.
Welcome and thanks for joining us.
Welcome.
Before we jump to the investor perspective on startup teams, can you briefly introduce yourself?
I can. In robotics, I would say I started in late 90s by buying my first robots for the factories I had at that time, but really got into the industry when I got involved with Universal Robots back in 2008, and then moved on to different robotic investments and other companies since then. So getting close to 20 years of experience in the industry now.
Yeah. And so, from your perspective, specifically, maybe in this case as an investor, how critical is the founding team when you evaluate an early stage startup?
I think that is the critical factor. I mean, people is what is going to drive the company. That is people that will be selling the product. It is people that will be developing the technology. So really, nothing is more important than the team.
And then how do you evaluate a team? I imagine you meet people in meetings. They present, you ask questions, and they respond and so forth. But there must be a little bit more into kind of like getting a feeling for the team. How do you do that?
I think that very often today you will have an initial Teams meeting or whatever, at least an online meeting
Yeah.
to try to understand the concept and maybe the value proposition and so on. But for me, a face-to-face meeting with the founding team and also other key players on the team is really important because you need to evaluate, or at least I need to be able to evaluate how the team, how they play together, how they interact, and also what is the overall, say, energy and execution capability in the team.
And then if we besides energy and of those important
Mhm.
matters, is there something that you specifically look for in a founder team in terms of capabilities or competencies?
I think it's important that the founder team has different competencies in the sense that if the founder team needs to be successful,
Hmm.
there needs to be, of course, the technical understanding around the product and the idea,
Yeah.
but there also needs to be a good, say, commercial understanding, and there needs to be a fairly clear way to market. How are they going to sell? What is the value proposition that they are going to offer? And if you are lucky as an investor, there's also some financial understanding in the founder team.
Yeah.
That's sometimes a little more difficult to find.
Yeah, yeah, I would imagine. I know that you look at founder teams at various level, like quite early stage and also later on. Is there something where you would be like maybe this financial thing was actually an example, but is there something you would be more concerned about in that has to be there already from the beginning, or is there stuff we can add later on?
There are things you can add later on, and not necessarily as founders, but where you
Yeah,
can basically buy the necessary competences.
yeah.
But what needs to be there early on is a basic market understanding, a basic understanding of what is the pain that we are going to
Hmm.
solve, and how are we going to manage that from a commercial point of view.
Hmm.
So I do not invest into founder teams with no commercial understanding.
Mm. Okay. Yeah. So that is important from
Yes,
from from the very get go.
yes.
And that also meant that you didn't mention technology here. And maybe you can elaborate a little bit on that?
No, of course, the idea or the
Yeah.
technology is important, but if you don't know how to present it, communicate it
Mhm.
to the market, if you don't know how to take it to market,
Mhm.
then it's just engineers developing for engineers, and that is not a business.
Nope.
And if you don't have the commercial outlook and the commercial understanding, at least to some extent, then as an investor, then it's difficult to see, a way to
Mm.
when and how do I get my money back.
Yeah. Does that also mean that you could, in theory, have been presented with the most amazing technology you ever saw, but you would still not invest because of lack of commercial knowledge?
Uh, I had a very good example yesterday.
Yeah. Okay. So that was a yes.
Yes.
Okay. Do you sometimes try to work with some of these teams, and or what kind of feedback do you then give them? Is it
I always try to work with the teams personally. I
Yeah.
only invest if I also have some kind of dialogue with the founding team after the investment.
Yeah.
So of course I can give some guidance, but it requires a basic understanding, and it requires a basic say openness to learn and develop.
Yeah. We touched a little bit upon it. So some teams, it's startups, so they are imperfect, and you need to add stuff
Mhm.
later on, and that's not necessarily a problem. Um, it can be hard though. And do you have some insights on that, which is important to know early on? So what do we need to plan some stuff, and do we need to have an open position in the cap table or whatever?
I mean, if you want to do it as a later added, say co-founder, then you need to somehow have space in the cap table, and or you need to have a say discussion between founders and investors of okay, this co-founder,
Hmm.
where's the equity coming from? Who's providing
Yeah.
equity for that co-founder?
Yeah.
That needs to be a discussion. If you have that early stage, it's a lot easier. I think that is a difficult or more difficult discussion to
Yeah.
have later on.
Yeah.
But I think you also need to consider if adding competences later on actually needs to be a co-founder,
Yeah.
or if it is just a hired gun
Hmm.
that you bring in with the specific competences that you need.
Hmm. Yeah. So it depends a lot on how mature the company is, I suppose, and if we are still, more attracting investors or more commercially driven company at
Yeah,
that stage.
and if you are, how close are you getting to being bored?
Yeah. Yeah. Because the closer you are to that, if I understand you correctly, the more you hire and don't.
Yes,
Yeah.
but also the more you need to present a full management team
Right.
that can actually run the company,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
next,
Yeah.
say a buyer will be looking for that.
Yeah. I think, and Mia also touched a little bit on this co-founder and equity question, and we also discussed it maybe now a little bit, but in a
Mm.
different context. But maybe you can also just add why is equity for co-founders so important, and that there is a kind of like an equal. Why is that?
Yeah, I think there's a general consensus around investors that founders, they need to have a significant share in the company for motivation purposes. But I think you can also do the same with good warrant programs or exit bonus or whatever for people that you bring in later on.
Yeah. So it's motivational.
It's
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it's more motivational. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And looking at founder teams and how they govern themselves or how they work together, that is that also part of what you look at, or
I
how do
think
you do that then?
Yeah, and that's sometimes a little bit difficult. But I think if you have a founder team,
Yeah.
there needs to be fairly clear, say, regulations or roles around decision
Yeah.
making. If you want to move forward in a
Yeah.
company, you cannot sit around the table and just discuss things. You need to somehow to come to conclusions. You need to
Hmm.
make decisions.
Yeah.
And if it is predefined who has the last say in whatever topic, if it's a commercial topic or a technical
Yeah.
topic, the company can move forward faster. And I do believe that is important.
Yeah. Yeah. So speed is of the essence, and
Absolutely,
yeah.
that is key.
Yeah. Um, would you also have some considerations or advice to people that are in kind of like in the very early process of maybe they have an idea but there's no founder team yet? How do you then jump from that to the next level where you have a team? I mean, also assuming here that you are also in favor of being multiple founders as well, but maybe
I don't think it's overly important. I mean, it makes
no.
sense to have multiple founders
Yeah.
if every founder bring different skills
Yeah.
to the table, if there is deep mutual respect within the
Yeah.
founder team,
Yeah.
and that the energy and chemistry is there, so they can actually develop, and it doesn't end up with a lot of discussions and fighting.
Yeah.
So yes, if it's possible to have multiple founders, it's good.
Yeah.
Simply also because you have very few people who manage both the commercial
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
technical skills to a high level, right?
Yeah. But you are, I don't know if I heard that right, but you are a little less concerned about a single founder team, maybe.
I'm a little less concerned.
Yeah. And why is that? Because we often hear that teams are better than single founders, but we can maybe.
Yeah, but that's maybe because the team is important, but whether it's a founder
Right.
or a hired competence,
Yeah.
I probably think that is less important.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
I need the right people working in the company.
Right.
Whether they are founders or not is less important.
Right. And then warrant programs could give motivation and
Warrant program. There are many other ways to motivate
right.
people. Yeah.
Yeah. So if I hear that correctly, then if a piece of advice is not to wait, but to start working and doing something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do things, not necessarily waiting for the perfect co-founder.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Right. Is there though anything that needs to be thought of when building these teams or building the company in general, even by a single founder, in terms of what governance structure do we put into this company, and what about ownership and the plan for that?
Yeah. So I would say that every startup that is looking for external investors
Yeah.
is basically from the beginning also looking to be bought.
Yeah.
So you need to ensure that all your governance and internal processes are well documented. You basically need to prepare your virtual data room from day one so that you just maintain that and keep it
Right.
accurate through the entire journey
Yeah.
of the company.
Mm-hmm.
Because a future buyer will be looking at, okay, is it a structured company? How does things work? If everything that you present to them looks in good order, then the whole due diligence process will be a lot easier later on.
Yeah.
You will save a lot of time and a lot of money, and you will present yourself as a more serious company.
Yeah. So actually, this is maybe a very, very key takeaway that the whole process ends out. If you go this investor route, the whole process ends out with an exit.
Yes.
And being aware of that already in the initial phases of building the founder team is very important.
Yes.
So you could even have kind of like someone dedicated to building the data room in the founder team.
You could. It's an easy process, but
Yeah.
yes, you could have someone at least with that responsibility.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that would be something that you would advise or that you would think
Yes.
of as a.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Right. When you have invested in, I don't know, but if in some cases where you also look for follow-up investments, maybe adding more, like maybe also institutional investors to the team around the company, is there then something that you are trying to add? In some cases, you will maybe also kind of like you are put on the same side as the founder team when you're out raising capital from other sources as well. Is there something in that process that is important to be aware of?
I think you need to be aware of it's a much longer process.
Yeah.
It's also when you go into institutional investors, it's also a process with a lot more, say, limitations or requirements from the investor side. It usually also impacts the composition of your board. And I would say my experience is also to some extent what is the focus of the board.
Yeah. And what do you mean by it?
I mean that if you bring in a lot of institutional investors
Yeah.
or VCs, there is a tendency that board discussions will be more focused on financing and less focused on developing the company.
Yeah. Yeah. And the impact of that is that uh, that
I think it can be more difficult for a founder who is not used to the
right.
financial environment
Right.
to navigate
Yeah.
that. And in some instances, it might actually also slow down the progress a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah. 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 So getting a little bit up to speed on financial matters when you go through this can be actually be something that the founder team should think about.
There's at least say a language
Yeah.
that that people and then founders they need to learn so
Yeah.
that they can have say educated
Yeah.
conversations with
Yeah.
potential investors.
Yeah. So commercial competencies and financial kind of like lingo is something that is not to be disregarded, even when you start.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. We discussed it a little bit, but we also had this. So you can add team members later. They don't need to be founders, and or that can be done in many ways. But can we dive into that a little bit,
Mhm.
nevertheless? So how, if you do want to add someone to the founder team later on, do you have some experiences in that? Is there something to be done or to be avoided if that is a route you have to go down or you decide to go down?
I don't have a lot of experience in that because I have solved it. The companies that I have invested in, we have solved it in different ways.
Yeah,
But I do believe that the big discussion that you would have would be around cap table, so equity,
yeah,
and then you need to look at several things. Where's the equity, or who's providing the equity
yeah,
share? But you also need to start looking at tax issues, because if it's
right.
a later stage
Yeah,
company,
yeah,
then there's already a potential value in the company. So
right.
how do you transfer that or part of that
Yeah,
value to
yeah,
a new co-founder?
yeah,
And what are the tax implications of that?
yeah,
I think that can also make it difficult.
yeah. Yeah, because if I understand you correctly, then when the company was founded, the shares are not free, but they are very cheap.
Yeah.
And later on, that's not the case anymore.
No, no.
So
If
yeah,
you have done a round
yeah,
with a post money valuation of 20 million,
hmm,
just to take a number,
yeah,
then it's difficult to say, okay, now we want a late co-founder.
hmm,
Late co-founders should have 20-25%
hmm,
of the company. Okay, so we just give that person, at least in theory, 4 to 5 million.
yeah.
At least in Denmark, tax authorities will have an opinion about that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, of course. So there are some very kind of like critical, not technical, but like kind of like legal restrictions into doing that. That's
Yes,
not to be disregarded.
yes.
Yeah, right. I think we will slowly begin to move into the Q&A session.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us,
Right.
and please stay, Enrico.
Yeah.
Then we'll invite Ann-Mia back and take some questions. Mm, yeah. First one here is for you and Mia. So it's a little bit of a recap on your company introduction, but I think let's take that as well. You have an exciting technology, but looking ahead, what are your plans for the next phase, and how do you want to scale your business from here?
Great question. Um, so right now we are working on our first commercial product that is on the market, which has already come with a lot of exciting new ideas from our customers. So currently we're scaling the sales of our current commercial product and adding new features and product lines along with that to help the same customers. And then we also have some projects running for some larger recycling facilities as well.
Right.
So both kind of getting the first business up and running and scaling that, at the same time keeping an eye out for the next big thing. Yeah.
Right. And I think this next one actually could be for the both of you. What core structures do you believe should be in place before hiring the first employees? Maybe you first, Enrico.
Before hiring the first employees,
Do you need to have sales, or does that not make sense to specify that?
I don't think that makes sense. I mean, I have had investments where there were no sales when the investments were made. I have had investments where sales were already on the way. And again, before you hire, that's a question of what competencies do you already have in the founder team, and what do you need to add in order to grow and scale the company. It's not really related to where the stage of the company.
Yeah. And do you...
I would agree with that as well. And I mean, I do think that there is a responsibility of hiring people. So I think the basic systems you need is to at least be sure that you have a certain amount of runway or a way to compensate for their time,
Right.
and also job stability, unless you're finding maybe something like student, or you're very honest about it's for a limited amount of time.
For the rest of the month.
Yeah. I think that that's a responsibility you have as an employee, at least to be honest or be responsible for someone else's livelihood. Don't hire someone who has a family if you only have a month runway.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
There's no job security in a startup.
True as well. Here's an interesting one, because you both, or we had a lot of focus on finding the right partners or team members here in the discussion here. But what if you realize, someone is asking here, that you involved the wrong ones? How do you handle that? I don't know if you have any specific experience, not necessarily, but that maybe you have some thoughts anyway.
I mean, I guess it's difficult to say about how are they the wrong one. Is it a very fundamental problem that just can't be solved, and you need to figure out a way to possibly get them out? Because if it will affect the scaling or the future, it doesn't look possible with this person, then it's probably finding a way to get them out, or starting something new. It kind of depends on the situation you're in and how they're wrong.
Yeah.
If it's wrong in terms of, like we said, competencies, like we're talking about, then is it something that can be learned or taught, or is it getting the right coaches? There's many different ways I think that it could be wrong, and that affects how you would handle it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you say?
I would basically say you replace them.
Yeah.
You don't have time to educate people when you are running a startup or a scale up. If people, they don't deliver on the things they are hired to do, then you replace them.
Yeah. And so replacing them, but is there something, I also imagine if you're a co-founder, maybe that can be a little bit, if it's a co-founder, is that difficult, or how do you do that?
I've only experienced it once. It was difficult. It was not nice, but it was necessary, and it happened.
Yeah. So you have to make it happen.
Yes, you have to make it happen.
Yeah, yeah. So it's moving a little bit into investments as well. So someone is asking here, probably you, I would say, Enrico, what's on your mind at the moment in terms of investments? What are you looking for at the moment?
I'm basically looking for anything that creates value in the industrial space.
Yeah,
so that's sort of where I have said that I'm placing my money. So it's industrial some way or other. I don't go into say restaurants or hotels or things like that. That's not for me. I don't go into humanoids, so I also stay away from that. But otherwise, anything that helps say manufacture easier in a more lean and efficient way. That's the space I'm in.
Yeah. And then someone else actually is also asking you, do you have kind of like free tips or free how-tos of investments? Or maybe looking for the team was one of them?
Yeah, I think there's it's also really this you can say looking for the team is one of them, but this really goes down to your specific investment strategy.
Yeah.
So I think the free advice is make sure that you have a clear investment strategy.
Right.
What do you invest in? What do you not invest in?
Yeah.
Focus
And stick to the
on that,
strategy.
and stick to your, like any other company, as an investment company also needs to stick to the to the strategy.
Yeah.
And you cannot know, all the different spaces. So you also need to stick to, at least in my opinion, to invest into a space where you have some kind of chance of evaluating the value creation and the go-to-market opportunities and so on.
Yeah. Yeah. Going a little bit back into team dynamics, we also discussed, adding competencies later, but both as new people, but also I think you mentioned it several times as well, and we are adding new competencies within yourself. And someone is asking here specifically, how do you, as a founder, keep learning? What are the concrete habits or routines that you do to or that have worked for you in gaining new knowledge and learning a new competency?
Yeah, lots of different things. I think first is being very honest with myself about where are my strengths and my weaknesses.
Yeah.
And also identifying in the company what is it that is required of me now, how is it that I can best fulfill my role, on the commercial side, and also on the technical side. So it's kind of seeing throughout the day, I kind of pick up on, okay, here I could be better, taking a note of that.
Yeah. Like literally or mentally?
Sometimes mentally, sometimes literally.
Yeah.
And then I think first, just to be honest about, I could actually be better here. Then it's, I do read a lot of books about, I really recommend The Lean Startup. Is a really good book for this, for early founders at least. We've also had coaches come in, managerial coaches and also coaches on sales. I had different sales coaches as well. Also pitch coaches. So people who are experts in the areas that I'm trying to get better at.
Yeah.
But I think the being humble enough to admit that and really committing to that this is difficult. This is I'm not going to be perfect immediately. That's also a bit frustrating sometimes because you want to come with a perfect product.
Yeah.
But really committing to it, and it's over time. It's been very exciting to develop those skills. Pitching was something that was difficult or scary for me at first, and sales as well. Graphic design, all these things, and contract writing. But every time I kind of commit these couple months of really with coaches and reading books and learning and listening to podcasts about it.
Yeah.
Then coming past that point and now feeling this is just something I can do now. It's in my backpack and I can still get better, of course, but it's something that you've kind of achieved. And that's a very exciting feeling. It's very nice.
Yeah. And so coaches, can you elaborate a little bit on that? How do you, is it people you hire in or people you meet or?
There's lots of mentors and programs in the startup world that can connect you with the right people. So sometimes it's an informal mentor or coach, someone who I just speak to a lot and know something about something that I can ask when I come to at a stop still. I know who in my network is good at certain things and I'm not afraid to ask for help. And then sometimes it's more formal of applying for a fund that actually has a coach or mentor program where we get a certain amount of money that we then look for the right service provider. And then we find the best coach for that budget. And then it's a more formal training process.
Yeah. Someone is also asking here. I think you should maybe try to take that, Enrico. So some startups they come straight from university, which was the case of Ann-Mia and your founder team. All of them actually, all of your co-founders. But some founder teams have come from with industrial experience, or maybe even experience from a previous startup. Or how is that different to you as an investor? Maybe first off.
It's not really fundamentally different, but of course you will be talking to to people with a little more, say, experience in life and experience in business. So the conversations can be a little bit different, but I don't see any sort of conceptual differences.
No.
You want to be a founder. You want to to develop and build your own company. You need investors.
Yeah.
It's basically the same process you go through.
Yeah. Bringing experience in from or commercial experience, and I'm just asking. So is there some benefits from having experienced founders or
There are benefits if they have been successful with their
Right.
commercial activities in their previous jobs.
Yeah.
Then it's a benefit.
Yeah.
And it's a benefit if they can reuse a known go-to-market strategy.
Right.
But if their commercial activity is retail,
Yeah.
and suddenly they go into robotics and need to do, business-to-business sales through distributors in China,
Yeah.
then it's irrelevant.
Yeah. Right. Then
So you need to look at that in each individual case. I don't think you can generalize on this one.
No. When you have the founder team and you are trying to attract capital, is there something that maybe you and me are, or it could be for both of you, but that you are thinking about in terms of what types of investors sort of becomes like new team members as well.
For sure.
So all of the kind of like careful work you took in building the right founder team that you worked well. Do you also do that for the investors, and then how do you do that?
Certainly, for us, that was very important. Like I said, we recognized that our team was a very strong part of what we had, and having good chemistry within the founder team, and also being on the right path that had helped us until that point. So we wanted to extend that trust and understanding to make sure that was also in our investor team. So we did prioritize the chemistry a lot, because it will also be the people that you are with a lot and talk to and have to be through the tough times and also the good times. And are they people that are both trust us in knowing what we're doing, so that it doesn't become a micromanaging or trying to change the ultimate goal of the company, but trust that you're going the right direction, and then support us in that, and also pushing us when there was space to be pushed. So for us, it was checking the we also wanted to extend, so we actually made sure we had technical, corporate experience, startup experience, and business sales, go-to-market strategy within our investor team as well.
Right. Yeah.
We also made that clear to them when we spoke to them. We said, we would like you to join because you come with this.
Yeah.
And we want these to join because they come with this.
Yeah.
And then we kind of set it together ourselves with the investors that we thought fit well together. And then we tested it by putting them all in the same room one day.
Yeah.
To see, does this work? Does it feel right?
Yeah.
And I'm very grateful that we did that, and we kind of did it in our own way. Because I trust that team fully as well, the same way I trust my co-founders. Yeah.
You are nodding, Enrico?
Absolutely. I think it's very important that the founder team and the company is aligned with the investors when it comes to how long is this going to take? What is basically the road towards exit? Is it a 3-year plan? Is it a 7-year plan? The investors need to buy into the way that the founder team wants to work. Do you want an investor who adapt to the founder team, or do you want an investor that will step in and say, okay, this is what you need to do and this is what you need to change? But this is a lot of personal interaction and chemistry, but definitely important that you match the founder team's way of thinking with the investors' way of thinking.
Yeah, there has to be a clear kind of like team spirit there.
Yes,
well. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The investor needs to be there to support, not to take over.
I was thinking a two-way trust.
Yeah. Here's an interesting question, I think, also for both of you from Carl, who's asking, if you were to found a company again, where would you look for co-founders? Would in your current teams as well, or I know that's not part of the question.
I mean, certainly I would take from my own team.
Yeah.
But if I had to start, from scratch, let's say, I've been lucky now to have been in within like the startup community for some time now, and I would pull on my network really. I think I would
Yeah.
make it known to the people around me, say this is what I want to work on, and this is the
Yeah.
kind of person I'm looking for.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people within, again, the startup community that are their whole their whole job, what they're really good at is network.
Right.
So they speak to a lot of people and they know. So
Yeah.
I think I would start by doing that, and then yeah, also looking for other people who maybe have ideas.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people who have ideas
Does not have to be your idea.
No, for me, I want to work with impact.
Yeah.
And I know I'm more of a commercial person, so I think for me it's more interesting to find people who maybe have the technical skills or have an idea, something
Yeah.
that can, and then I will take it to market. That's personally what I find interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you plan to co-found.
I wouldn't be looking for a co-founder, no.
No, so that's too hypothetical.
Yeah, it's not relevant.
No, right. Great. We are just about closing remarks. Yeah, so I think that to sum up some of the and please add to sum up some of the things we learned here is teams are crucially important from an investor perspective, but team dynamics and how you work together is maybe sometimes more important than the specific technical or commercial competencies. They have to be added later, but they can be added later. Is that a fair summary of? And what did I miss here?
I think that's a very fair summary, and I think in short, it's people do business with people.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, the team is important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think, yeah, of course, sometimes, I mean, investors and customers might look at your educational background, but what will get you the furthest, I think, is the people and that you want to work together, the people you enjoy. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Thanks a lot for joining us. It's been amazing having you here. Thanks for a very good discussion. And thank you to everyone here that was listening. We'll be back and looking forward to seeing you in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you, Troels.
Thank you.